Hi everyone, it's Jeff Mitosu Crafts and welcome to the Global Stampin Video Hop featuring uh, the theme New. So for today, I'll be using a technique, heat embossing on embossed layers featuring the new Glass and Gardens embossing folder, which is an online exclusive available from May 6, 2025. And this is the design that I'll be using today. It's got diamond and triangles on there that looks like glass. I've also used mini corrugated just for a bit more texture, and from the new annual catalog, Pretty Florals bundle, so the stamp set and the die. And for the sentiment, I'll be using She's the Greatest, which is from online exclusive as well. So with the embossing, you can use Versamark, but I will be using white craft ink just so I can see where I am applying the ink. So more for visual, but you can use Versamark as well. And the other colors that I'll be using are Berry Burst, Granny Apple Green, Strawberry Slush, and Pretty in Pink. So for my card base, basic white, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. Scrap for stamping and sentiment, basic white normal. Secret C, which is one of the new in color, I have gone ahead and embossed that. I'll be cutting that down to size, but the height of that is 1 3/8 of an inch, or that is 3.5 centimeters. I just had an offcut from the desk. Basic beige, which is 7 by 10.5 centimeters, or that is 2 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna do some stamping first before I get onto the new technique with the embossing. So for my sentiment, I've gone for world's greatest, and then you can just add another stamp onto there. So from the She's the Greatest, you can use different relative relations, so which is great. So world's greatest in Berry Burst. Here we go. That's done. With a bit of cat hair. So that is done. And then for the stamping, now Pretty Florals, there's two-step stamping. So the filler and then the detail. So with the filler, I'm using a lighter shade and a darker shade for the outlines. And then for the leafings, I'm gonna use Granny Apple Green. And what's great about the die cut for this is it gives you a bit of space to add your flowers on. So I'll just do, I could have gotten a bigger piece. So that's just going to be stamped on there. And Strawberry Slush, one of the new in colors as well. And then Pretty in Pink for the filler. And I'm just gonna hopefully get it right. So you can find the points for those two and it should line up, he says. Yeah. So the dies is this fillers, this one. for that one, and the triple one is somewhere. So it cuts it out all in one go, which is great. I have gone ahead and die cut those. So you have space to add your flowers. So I'm gonna do that now. And just get glue. And line up. I think the smaller one is on the left. And then the medium on the right. Put that aside and we can do our embossing. So for the embossing, so you can either do just on the side. I'm gonna have it portrait, but I'll be adding this across. So I do want it all the way down, so just line that up. And this embossing folder does fit in the mini cut and emboss, but I'll use my big one because it's nice and handy. It's not a 3D embossing folder, so you just need to take off your plate number 2 and then run that through with both cutting plates number 3. So you have the embossed side or the debossed side, so you can use whichever. It's better to use for this technique kind of like loads of areas that are raised. So I'm gonna use the the embossed piece. And where is my embossing buddy? So embossing buddy, just tap it on. And white pigment ink. And to apply it, I'm gonna use a small block. So normally when I want to highlight embossed areas, I tend to do this, but I've never heat embossed on top of it. So and I normally use a bigger block, but I thought using a smaller block, you can just keep re-inking and just highlight certain or different areas. And I'll bring it up in a second. And because it's flat, it just inks up the raised areas. It doesn't go in like a sponge dauber or blending brush. So it doesn't go in on the debossed areas. So you can just keep applying as much as you want, and the pigment ink stays wet longer. So that's why I wanted to use it. And it's not as thick as the Versamark, so it's a lot easier to see or spread. So once that's covered, I'm just gonna get my embossing powder. And because we prepared it, it should, oops, I touched it. It should come off. So you can see it's only on those areas, the raised areas. And to heat set, I'm just going to get my heat tool. There are some stray cat hairs, so I'm just get my tweezers. So it doesn't matter if you do touch it because it's supposed to be distressed. Right, I will just get my heat tool and heat set. We're independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrators based in the UK, so if you live in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium, or Ireland, you can purchase current Stampin' Up! Products from our online shop. Do check the description below for the product links as well as the next video in the hop. There you go. It is a subtle look, but if you want it to be a bit more prominent, use a darker card base. So now we're just gonna make up our card. So that's just gonna go in flat. So I'll just trim that off. 8.5, 3 3/8 of an inch. Just so it's slightly wider than that layer. I know I am covering some of it, but I like that you can still see. But that's just gonna go on there. So you can either do it flat. I do like more dimension. So I'll just get my dimensional. Before I add it on, I will add some linen thread. So this one is from the Natural Tones. It is retiring. So it's garden green, but there is a natural linen thread. So faux bow on a mini glue dot. What do you call it? Flowers. Snip the ends. And of course, the sentiment, world's greatest. I'm just gonna snip it with scissors. You can use the trimmer or a guillotine if you prefer using those. And to finish up, I'm just gonna use this in color flat pearls with the cloud cover. There we go. Here's my card for the Global Stampin Video Hop featuring new techniques and new items by Stampin' Up! As mentioned, check out the description below for the next video in the hop. Thanks so much for joining me again. Take care. Until next time. Bye.